You are officially the ocean sunfish, the so-called mola mola. Congratulations, you hold the world record for weight among bony fish. You are a colossus of nearly 3 tons, a giant of the oceans. But let's be honest, you're basically a giant meat pizza drifting aimlessly and hoping nothing bites you. Your existence is a walking paradox, or rather a swimming one. Your journey begins in the vast open ocean and starts with a frankly ridiculous statistic. Your mother is a factory of despair. She doesn't lay 10 eggs, nor 1,000. She releases a cloud of 300 million eggs all at once. It's the absolute record among vertebrates. This isn't reproduction, it's biological pollution. You are born tiny, the size of a speck of dust mixed in with the zooplankton. And here is the cruel trick of mathematics. For your species population to remain stable, only 2 of those 300 million need to reach adulthood. The rest are snacks. You weren't born to win. You were born to be a rounding error statistic. Your chance of survival is lower than winning the lottery and being struck by lightning on the same day. You are biological dust waiting to be vacuumed up by anything larger than a coin. Yes, think about it. Your mother dumps this cloud of children and leaves. There is no love, no nest, no protection. It's the reproductive strategy of good luck suckers. You are floating in the middle of nowhere, surrounded by billions of siblings who will die in the next few hours, serving as an all-you-can-eat buffet for whales, tuna, and jellyfish. And just look at the weight of your name, Mola. Do you know what it means in Latin? Millstone. The naturalist who named you, Linnaeus, looked at you and didn't see a majestic animal. He saw a round, flat, heavy stone used for grinding wheat. That is your legacy. You have the aerodynamics and charisma of a floating gray boulder. To make things worse, your family is a disappointment. You are from the order Tetraodontiformes? Your cousins are the pufferfish. They are cool. They have spines. They inflate to scare predators. They have deadly venom. And you are the unarmed black sheep of the family. Evolution looked at you and said, let's remove the spines, remove the venom, remove the ability to inflate, and just leave you with fat. You are a member of a lineage of armored warriors who decided to go into war naked. You have no defense, no weapons, no peace. You're just a number in a lottery that was designed for you to lose. But let's talk about your, let's say, strange origin. About 50 million years ago, back in the Eocene, your ancestors looked at all that defensive arsenal and said, you know what? Too much work. And just decided to get gigantic? It was a lazy gamble that defined your existence. You traded chemical weapons and armor of spines for pure and simple body mass. And to grow so much, you had to make some shameful biological workarounds. First, science classifies you as a bony fish, but that's a blatant lie. Your skeleton is made almost entirely of cartilage, like a human nose. Why? Because if you had a real bone skeleton at this size, you would sink like a truck's anchor. You are a counterfeit bony fish. Furthermore, you don't have a swim bladder, that little internal balloon that normal fish use to float effortlessly. Instead, you developed a thick layer of gelatinous tissue under the skin. You are basically a giant donut filled with jelly that learned to swim. It's a collection of evolutionary patches, just to keep your 2 tons afloat. But the biggest joke in your DNA is growth. Remember you are born the size of a grain of sand? Well, being small in the ocean is a death sentence. So, your genes panicked. Your genome has accelerated evolution in the growth hormone axis. You are an out-of-control meat factory. In captivity, you can gain almost 1 kilogram per day. You don't grow, you swell up desperately to get out of predators' mouths. And the look. You look like you were drawn by a child who ran out of paper at the end of the sheet. You look like you were cut in half. That's because you have no tail. Seriously? The caudal fin is gone. In its place, you have something called a clavus, which is basically your back and your belly meeting in the middle in an awkward way. You are literally a swimming head. The cruelest detail discovered by scientists is that you still have the genes to make a tail. The instruction manual is there in your DNA, but for some sadistic reason of evolution, your body decides to ignore this part. You are born with a tail, and then your body absorbs it and throws it away. You evolved specifically to self-mutilate and end up with the aerodynamics of a manhole cover. It's a design that screams design error in every detail. Well, let's say you won the cosmic lottery. You are one of the very few eggs that didn't become whale food. You are a fry, and here happens the saddest thing in your biography. Your infancy is the only moment you seem like a decent animal. In this stage, you are called an obol. You are about 2 millimeters, but look, you have spines, you have real armor similar to your pufferfish cousins. And most amazingly, you have a tail, a real functional caudal fin that pushes you forward like a normal fish. You are a mini armored warrior, an echo of that glorious past your family threw in the trash. But nature looks at you, all equipped and functional, and says, "No, this is too good. Let's ruin it." Thus begins your metamorphosis. And unlike a caterpillar that becomes a butterfly and gains wings, your transformation is a process of loss. It's an active disarmament. As you grow, your body begins to reabsorb its own tail. Seriously, you digest your propulsion engine. The spines, your only defense, fall off and disappear. You dismantle everything that made you efficient to transform into that clumsy swimming head. It's as if a tank decided to turn into a wheelless van in the middle of a battle. And what's left after this stupid remodeling? You become a floating target during this growth phase. You are officially classified as plankton. That's right. You are not a swimmer. You are a drift food. You are part of that biological dust that whales swallow by the ton. You survived the lottery of 300 million eggs just to become a crouton in a blue whale salad. What a career evolution, huh? No spines and no tail. You have no way to escape. Your speed is ridiculous. Your maneuverability is zero. Your only chance, the only card up your sleeve that your DNA gave you, is turbo growth. Your genes scream, "Grow." Now, you need to get out of the edible phase as fast as possible. It's a desperate metabolic race. Until you reach a ridiculous size, any tuna, any mahi-mahi, any seabird looks at you and sees a free, unpackaged snack. Your childhood boils down to this: eating nonstop, panically gaining weight, and praying no one sees you while you are just a defenseless meatball at the mercy of others. You traded the agility of a normal fish for the strategy of becoming too big to fit in others' mouths. The problem is, until you get big, you fit in everyone's mouth there. All right, congratulations, you beat the statistics. You reached adulthood. Now you are a giant of over 2 tons, the largest bony fish in the world. But honestly, look at yourself. You look like a video game rendering error. You have no body. You're just a giant head that continues indefinitely. Your tail, remember? The one you absorbed. In its place is the clavus, a hard and useless rudder that basically serves to stop you from spinning in place. To swim, you have to flap your dorsal and anal fins, the top and bottom ones, at the same time. Scientists call this underwater flight, but it looks more like a drunk bird trying to fly sideways. It's a tremendous effort for a ridiculous speed. And who is piloting this whole mass? A brain that weighs 4 grams. Seriously? You have the weight of a pickup truck and the processor of a broken pocket calculator. Your spinal cord is shorter than your brain. You are a monument to biological stupidity, wandering the sea with the cognitive capacity of a head of lettuce. You don't think, you just exist and occupy space, driven by basic instincts and the inertia of being too fat to stop quickly. And what fuels this spaceship of meat? What is the champion's diet that sustains 2 tons? Jellyfish. That's right. You are an apex predator that feeds basically on floating sacks of salt water and slime. It's like trying to keep a bodybuilder alive by feeding him lettuce and ice. Jellyfish have almost 0 calories, so you need to eat an industrial quantity of them nonstop. To find this food, you need to dive deep. You descend to 300, 400, 500 meters into the icy darkness. And here enters your thermal dilemma. You don't have whale blubber to keep you warm. You lose heat fast. To eat, you freeze. So, after stuffing yourself with frozen gelatin down there, you are forced to surface. And there you do the most famous and pathetic thing of your species, basking. You lie on your side at the water's surface, floating as if dead, letting the sun beat down on your flank to rewarm you. You aren't relaxing. You are recharging your thermal battery because your body is poorly designed. Your life is this infernal yo-yo. Dive down to starve in the cold, surface to become a target in the sun, repeat until you die. But look, if you thought the ocean sunfish's life was bad, wait until you see your family planning. You are a female, carrying the official title of the most fertile vertebrate on planet Earth. Sounds like an honor, right? But in practice, it's the greatest admission of evolutionary failure that exists. You are a giant, an animal that lives for decades and weighs tons. By the rules of nature, you should have few offspring and care for them well, like a whale or an elephant. But no, you suffer from a biological identity crisis. You have the body of a marine mammal, but you act like an insect or a bacterium. You bet on chaos. In a single season, you release up to 300 million eggs. Think of the metabolic cost of that. You spend months eating those calorie-less jellyfish in a Herculean effort to convert frozen slime into 300 million potential lives. And what do you do with this massive investment? You throw it away. Literally, you practice broadcast spawning. You release this cloud of eggs into the open water. The male releases sperm nearby, and that's it. No nest, no protection, no goodbye. You flood the ocean with your children, assuming their mortality rate will be 99.99%. It's a motherhood based on absolute mathematical pessimism. To sustain this baby factory, you need to eat even more. Your life becomes a marathon of swallowing jellyfish. You are an impossible alchemy machine. You need to turn salt water and nutrient-poor gelatin into solid protein for 300 million eggs. It's like trying to build a skyscraper using only duct tape and goodwill. The physical wear and tear is immense. You convert every calorie you manage to steal from the cold into tiny eggs. And the saddest part, you are not a mother in the noble sense of the word. You are a wholesale supplier of food for plankton. The vast majority of your children don't last 24 hours. They are sucked up by filter feeders, eaten by small fish, or destroyed by currents. Your genetic legacy serves primarily to feed the ecosystem, not to perpetuate the species. If you were a human mother with this success rate, social services would lock you up before lunch. But in the ocean, you are considered a success. The burden of the female mola mola is this: to carry the weight of producing the population of an entire country, knowing that the only real function of these lives is to become a snack for those who had the decency to be born with real fins. You work to exhaustion just to ensure the rest of the ocean doesn't go hungry. But if you think parasites are bad, wait until you meet sea lions. They are bullying in mammal form. They discovered that you are basically a giant meat frisbee. They don't just want to eat you, they want to have fun. They swim around you, bite your dorsal and anal fins, the only things that make you swim, and tear them off. Without an engine, you become a useless disc. They play with your body, toss you from side to side, and when they get tired, they abandon you. You don't die immediately. You sink alive, conscious, with that tiny brain, but unable to move, slowly falling to the seabed, where you will be eaten alive by starfish and crabs. It's a humiliating and slow death. And then there are humans, of course. Humans have filled the sea with plastic bags. For you, who eat jellyfish and are no genius, a floating supermarket bag is identical to your favorite lunch. You swallow the plastic, don't digest it, it blocks your stomach, and you starve to death with a belly full of trash. Or else, when you are up there sunbathing to warm up, a boat hits you. You are too slow to dodge. You become a biological speed bump, cut in half by a propeller, just because you needed to warm up. The modern world has turned all your survival tactics into death traps. But look how incredible. Against all mathematical, statistical, and predatory odds, you reached old age. You are an elder of the ocean. Now you weigh almost 3 tons, are 3 meters tall, and have skin that looks like an old tractor tire. You won the game of life, right? Wrong. Nature has no retirement prize for ocean sunfish, just more problems of scale. Your biggest genetic defect now is called indeterminate growth. Most animals stop growing when they become adults. You don't. Your growth genes, the ones that saved you in childhood, forgot to turn off. You keep growing and growing and growing until the day you die. That sounds cool, but it's a logistical nightmare. The bigger you get, the more energy you need to move this absurd carcass. Remember your diet? Jellyfish, salt water with texture. You need to eat tons of it every day, just to avoid wasting away. Your old age becomes a frantic and exhausting cycle of diving into the icy depths, stuffing your belly with gelatin, freezing to the bone, and surfacing to float in the sun. You get no rest. If you stop eating, your giant metabolism consumes you from the inside out. If you stop warming up, your heart freezes. You are a slave to thermodynamics. And your old body, it starts to demand payment for those evolutionary workarounds. Your cartilage skeleton groans under the weight of tons of meat. Your fins, which were never efficient, now have to push a wall of muscle. Every movement costs a fortune in energy. But the worst of old age for you is the cognitive solitude. You've lived for decades, seen entire oceans, but learned nothing. Your 4-gram brain stores no memories, forms no bonds, doesn't understand the world. You are a passenger in your own body. You cross shipping lanes without understanding the danger. You see a fishing net and don't understand what it is. Your survival until now has been pure luck and brute size. But now you are too big. Too big to hide, too big to flee, too big to be ignored. You've become a floating monument, and in the sea, being a monument only attracts problems. You are a target visible from space, almost. And when the end comes, it doesn't come with glory. It comes because you became too heavy for life. A tired giant, stuck in a cycle of eating ice and sunbathing, waiting for something to finally take you down. So that's it. The end of the line. You grew, you got fat, you survived parasites, sea lions, and whales. You became a 3-ton titan. You expect a dignified end, perhaps an epic battle against a great white shark or a perfect storm. Forget it. Your end will be bureaucratic and accidental. Your most likely death has a technical name, bycatch bat. You're there, swimming with the grace of a refrigerator, when a wall of nylon net appears. It's an industrial trawl net made to catch tuna. You are not tuna. Nobody wants you. Your meat is watery, full of parasites, and doesn't even taste good. But you are big and slow. You are captured simply because you were in the way. You are hauled onto the deck, crushing tons of smaller fish with your dead weight. The fishermen look at you with anger. You are not a trophy. You are a loss that tore their net. You die suffocated on the deck, or are thrown back into the water already too injured to swim, sinking like the millstone that gave you your name. Or perhaps your end is more modern. The plastic. Remember your 4-gram brain? It doesn't know the difference between a nutritious jellyfish and a floating supermarket bag. You swallow the plastic, it doesn't digest, it blocks your stomach. You continue to be hungry, continue to eat, but nothing passes through. You die of starvation with a belly full of human trash, floating like a buoy signaling an ecological error. And if none of that gets you, there's being run over. Remember your habit of sunbathing on the surface? That vital move so you don't freeze after eating ice at the bottom of the sea. Well, that puts you right in the path of cargo ships. You are a living speed bump in the middle of the ocean's express lane. The ship comes fast, you have no brakes, no reverse, your acceleration is a joke. The collision is brutal. You don't die fighting. You die being split in half by a bronze propeller, turned into ground giant fish meat, just because you needed to warm up. What a tragic end. After all, why is it dreadful to be born as an ocean sunfish? Because being born as a mola mola is to be nature's greatest improvisation. It is to be born in an impossible lottery of 300 million, to grow by mutilating your own body, to throw away your tail and your spines to become a giant, clumsy head. It is to live with cold, chronic hunger and covered in lice, depending on the charity of seagulls to clean yourself. It is to be a harmless giant, without a brain and without defense, wandering through an ocean that doesn't respect you. You are a colossus made of cartilage and stubbornness, serving only as a passive target for nets and trash. You are a biological rounding error that grew too large, proving that sometimes evolution doesn't create perfection. It just creates things that take a long time to die.